we're gonna be watching this. So he's gonna be riding in the mountains. He's gonna be riding. I mean, you see a bunch of hazards. You see that there's no shoulder, oncoming traffic, double yellow right here. We're gonna go ahead and pass on the double yellow. There's that signage right there indicating that it's gonna be a really sharp turn. Watch out for that vehicle. And we went from 60 something, passing somebody on the straightaway, into the turn, going about 20, 30 miles an hour. Let's see what happens when we get in front of somebody and pretty much brake check them right in front of a freaking car. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about this. This is what you call the max pass. This is where he causes his friends and followers to crash for his content. So we're gonna go ahead and see what happens there. So write in the comments what you think happened there before I start actually getting into everything. Remember, we do talk about mechanism of injury and everything here. So we're gonna talk about all the injuries that he's possibly gonna have. But we're going to talk about not just what Wristy did. I guess that's his name. Wristy here. We're going to be talking about what the rider behind him did. Now, there's not much he could have done in the first part of it, but we're going to go see what happens. So he's probably really pissed off, but he won't say anything because he doesn't want to antagonize MaxWrist or any of his followers, but I don't really care. I'll do that. And we're going to go ahead and lift the bike up. Okay, let's see what happens here. That's pretty much it. Let's see if there's any injuries.
What'd you do?
Huh?
You brake too late? I heard a skid. I heard a skid.
Yeah. No, we're good. Thank you. Yeah.
Way to blame the other person. That is called shaming. Let's take a quick look. So we're having a lot of fun. Remember, there's more people in this group rides, okay? So when you're out riding with a group of friends and group of people, you're going to be in a different kind of mindset. You're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about that group mentality. You're thinking about how can I be a part of this group versus how do I be an individual. So we're going to have a bunch of people riding in this group trying to keep escalating and keep improving and trying to impress everybody. And just take a quick look and try to think about this, is that when you're with somebody, when you're with a group of friends and you have that one friend that's that you look up to, you think he's really cool, she's really cool, you're having a great time, and it's like, I want to be like that person. Well, what do you think all these people are doing when they're meeting up with MaxWrist? What do you think they're doing? They're trying to be like him. Okay? And then you start getting impressionable young people here that are barely riding, have been riding, whatever it is, to take extra risks. Now, being a smart rider is that you're going to go ahead and recognize and understand hazard situations. And when you start having that mentality, peer pressure, you start running into issues where you're not really thinking like that. So, like I said, we do talk about that in our academy. Make sure you guys check it out. So that's kind of the mindset a lot of people are in. That's the mindset that person's in, trying to keep up. MaxWrist is behind him, kind of pushing him a little bit. We don't see anybody behind or in front for a while, so maybe he's getting pushed, maybe he's out in the front, whatever it is, and then MaxWrist got a little upset and wanted to pass. So we're going to go ahead and see. We're going 60-ish miles an hour throughout all of this. So there's some breakage right there. He's braking a little bit. Okay, we got some road surface hazards there. So start thinking about the mentality here, everybody. Look at the road. Not very good. So if you did go off the road here, you're going to hit a tree. Look at the body positioning here. Is that somebody in the more experienced? Is this somebody that has experience, or is this somebody that's pushing the bike down, not using appropriate body positioning? If you watch Moto Jitsu or anybody like that, you know that that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Whew. You know, Yamaha Champions Club and everything. Okay, looks like MaxWrist is getting a little impatient here, wants to pass him up. Okay, so this is where we're going to go ahead and choose to pass him up, going 71 real quick. And we got this right here, 83 miles per hour. 83 miles per hour. We have a signage here, so that means it's going to be a nice little squiggles. Okay, we have a right turn, left turn coming up. Now, sharp right, sharp left is typically like this, so it's not going to be as sharp. It is something that you can do, but definitely not at 80 miles per hour. So we're going to go ahead and pass up before the turn. Now, as a brand new rider, you should be looking into possibly slow look, press, and roll. We need to slow down before the turn. That's what was it Wristy? I don't care. They're both the same people to me. I know I'm going to piss off some people here, but you're supposed to slow down before the turn. Now, he's going to be calling out this guy that's going to crash and say, what, you didn't slow down, you didn't brake, you broke too late? Well, let's see what happens here. So we get in front of him. We're going to have to slow down ourselves. We went from 80, barely passing. You can see him in the mirror right over there. And now we're going to keep slowing down to 50. there's the little skid. Okay, so we hear the skid. We got in front of the person real quickly. We had to move over. I'm talking in terms of MaxWrist, one of them. And we caused a little skid ourselves. Let's go back just a little bit. Let's look at our skid. Okay, rear wheel. We lost a little traction. Okay, we were locking up the brakes, or we were doing something, and we lost a little traction ourselves on the rear tire. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. We handled it. We're still up, right? Max is still up. Wristy, whatever their name is still up. We have a vehicle coming over here. Maybe that caused a little panic. Maybe we had to like move over because we couldn't use both lanes like MaxWrist likes to do. If you've seen any of his Instagram videos, he's using all lanes all over the place, basically going straight on a bunch of curves because he's using all the lanes. And now we go down to 27. We didn't just do 27 because we thought something happened behind us. We went down to 27. He didn't know the person crashed yet. We went from 84 to 27. What were the speeds before this going through turns? Okay, no, that's him speeding up. Let's see what's... So 45. So he went down 15 to 20. He went basically 50%, 40 to 50% speed that the guy in front has been doing. So that was a nice straightaway. So that's about, okay. We're gonna pass him up. Now let's watch it happen. Watch it happen. So he was braking hard, and so was the other person. Now he sees what happens.
Oh, crap.
So we just passed this guy. So remember, right when we're passing, what speed were we going? Right when we crossed over, 56. So 56 miles per hour right here. Look how close we are. Okay? If everyone wants to say, hey, GoPros make it look like it's the car turning out in front of me is further than it really is. It's actually really close. It's really, really close. Well, look at this. If this is a GoPro, what do you think that is? What do you think that is? That is extremely close. You just cut off this guy. You just cut off this guy. And you slammed the brakes yourself. You slammed the brakes yourself. Okay, the goal is to have an escape path. You couldn't get out of there. The goal is to plan your ride. The goal is to be a smart rider. Couldn't do any of this stuff because the environment, we have to take a step back, everybody. Take a step back. What is it that we're doing here on the roads? What is it that we're doing all here, this big group ride? You have to really take a step back, and what is the mentality? What is the purpose of this? Is the purpose to race in the mountains super fast and have a ton of fun and risk things because we're wanting to get that adrenaline, we're wanting to get those dopamines and all those other endorphins and everything going on? That's what we're trying to do. That's the basis of it. And that's what's happening here. We're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, going from point A to point B as safe as possible. Different mentality, different groups, different everything, but the goal is, in this crew, is to be safe. That's not what happened here. So let's take a quick look. So we lost traction, gained traction, and now we did a high side. So there's the impact almost into the car. Now, thankfully, he likes to do this where it's nice slow motion because that's how he gets his views, is when he crashes other people on his channel, because he found out that when he crashes, he has to take a break. He has to heal up. But he's got a plethora of viewers that want to ride with him. If they crash, well, he's still going to get the views. Now, I don't know if that's the motivation. I don't know. I'm not saying it is. That's my guess. All right, so here we go. We're going to start going into this. So now we start to crash. Now there's that left ankle. Boom. Once it grabs the ground, you see it snapping back. Okay, so your shoes obviously have rubber on the bottom or whatever it is, typically Vibram. If you get any type of motorcycle boots, they are meant to be tacky. They're meant to actually have grip. And guess what? When you're on the road, this is supposed to be grippy. So here we go. So watch the ankle. It's in line. Immediately out of line. So that is going to be a lot of tendon issues. You're going to rip apart ligaments and tendons inside your ankle. Not good. You get easy dislocation into that. Now we're starting to go down. We're starting to go down. We got that left side, left side, left side, left side, left side. Now the hand's going down to protect the body. That is a natural human response to protect the core. When you fall forward, you put your hands down. When you fall sideways, you try to crunch up and put your arms here. You're trying to cover your chest and abdomen, which is going to have all your vital organs. So your body's like, we'll get rid of our legs and our peripherals. We want to keep the internal safe. So there's the hand, same thing. It's going to grab traction. We're going to have issues possibly with the wrist and left elbow. This is where motorcycle jackets have armor in it to absorb that impact. And we have the shoulder, left shoulder, same thing with armor in the shoulder. Remember, we're supposed to be acquiring and using personal protective equipment. If you don't have any personal protective equipment, there is some Revzilla beginner gear that they like to put out there. And he hits his head. He slams his head on the ground. Look at the head right there. You can barely see it because of the tire, but the side of the head, boom, hits the ground hard. That's where that coup contra coup is. Your brain is inside cerebral spinal fluid, which is not supposed to have any blood on it. That's why when you have brain bleeds, it's terrible. But cerebral spinal fluid is only inside your skull and in your spine. So what your brain is doing is actually inside of it. It's almost like a suspension system. The only thing that's really connected to anything in there is your brainstem to the rest of your spine, but it is just kind of floating in there. And on the inside, you have, the fluid in between the brain and the skull. The skull itself, then now you have skin and membrane and all that stuff outside the skull. So it's very, very little, but there's not a lot of muscle on your skull. Right here, you can kind of tell. Not much there. No hair or anything. That's not going to help you or anyway. But inside your skull, the brains go against the wall, back against this wall, and then hit the wall and kind of slosh around and do this a little bit. Okay, that's where CTE comes in. You start getting tearing with the membranes inside the brain itself. But right here, coup contra coup, you have a traumatic brain injury. That's not something you want to be a part of. Okay, it's a form of brain injury that is acquired typically by penetration or just blunt force trauma. Not very good. Blunt force trauma is going to be when your head hits the ground at this speed. So he's going to be sliding across the ground. We have possible spinal injuries. Thankfully, he has a jacket. I'm hoping he has level 2 armor in it. If you check your jacket right now, I want you to check your jacket tonight, today, whatever it is, right now. Check your jacket in the back where you have that sleeve. If it's that gray foam and you can squish it in, it came with the jacket, that is not armor. That is just foam. That is just a comfort item. You need to have CE level 2 armor to protect your spine. So he's going to be sliding now. Thankfully, that car wasn't there a millisecond later because he would have been underneath the vehicle. Okay, and thankfully that person was being situation aware and applied good progressive brake pressure on that brake pedal. Yeah, lots of levels, Steve Fleming. Lots of levels in TBI. Lots of levels. You can have just like a headache from just sloshing your head. Go ahead and do this, everybody. Shake your head side to side. And you see how your vision you start getting a little dizzy. Your vision is starting to get a little blurred, and you can actually feel just a little bit of pain on your brain. That is a traumatic brain injury just from shaking your head. It's not going to be a long-term brain injury. It's not going to be a long-term brain injury. But imagine slamming your head into the ground at 60 miles an hour. That's how painful this guy might have a head. That's why you have that helmet. It's going to absorb, hopefully, a lot. But you get that blurry vision here. So head injury symptoms, disorientation, nausea, vomiting, vision impairment. There's that blurry vision, loss of balance. You start getting a little wobbly and a persistent headache. If you don't know what this is our rescue card that comes in every single one of our rescue packs. If you don't have one, make sure you guys grab one. We do trauma kits, and you also get the rescue booklet with it too. But yeah, we need to be watching out for a lot of these things. It's no bueno.
You all right?
So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now that we saw and witnessed the crash, it is our job to rescue another rider. Part of the Smart Rider principles is rescuing injured motorcyclists with medical training. That is what we do here on this channel. That is what we do here on Motorcycle Training Concepts YouTube channel. And that is what we do at the basic training course that we have. It's a 3-hour plus course that you can take. We're adding more and more and more and more to it. We're working on it. But what we're going to be doing here now is rescuing this rider. So we're going to see what happens. We got to see what's going on. So right now, we see that he's walking. So remember when we looked at this right here, disorientation, nausea, vomiting, loss of balance, all those things. Now let's look at the spinal cord injury, loss of sensation in extremities. Extremities is your arms and legs, numbness and tinglings, hands, feet, inability to move extremities, or pain in the neck or back. So the fact that he's walking means that he does have the ability to move the extremities. He looks like he's walking a straight line. He's walking right on the shoulder in between the white and the actual grass. So that means he's not super disoriented. It means he has balance. It means he's able to look forward. Who knows? It might be tunneled in. He might have that little tunnel vision where he can only see a certain focal point. We can't tell. We have to ask him some questions. He's not throwing up. Who knows if he's nauseous? But so far, it looks good. He's walking. Okay, so that means his head injury symptoms aren't that bad right now. His spinal cord injury symptoms, if he has one, is not that bad right now. And it doesn't look like he's going to hit shock, but shock is typically a later stage response when it comes to hypovolemic issues, so low volume of his blood and fluids. You could have neurogenic shock. You can have psychosomatic shock. You can have a bunch of different kinds of shock, septic shock with infection. But typically when it comes to a crash like this, you're going to have neurogenic or hypovolemic, low volume, so loss of blood. So what we need to be doing here is remaining calm, call 911 or tell someone to call 911, which is I'm hoping some of these people are. I don't think MaxWrist is going to do that. But you need to let somebody know, hey, you go do that, because if you don't say that, nobody will. Everyone will be looking around, hey, have you, like, thinking that they'll do it, and then nobody does it. You need to call 911 or tell someone. You need take charge and say, you do this, and then hopefully say it loud enough so everybody hears so that everyone can peer pressure that person into doing it. The next thing is you need to ensure your own safety. If you can't stay safe yourself, you're not going to be able to help anybody. Okay, if you get hurt, who's going to help the person that you're trying to help? Somebody's got to find you and help you now. So you have to ensure your own safety. Look for hazards. The biggest hazard we have on the road is other vehicles. We just saw that vehicle take off. I don't know where they went. Hopefully they had a rescue pack. Well, they don't, because they didn't stop. So right now, that's an assessment that you can do just in your brain. Boom, right there. Easy. So he's walking, looks good. He's kind of pissed. He doesn't know what to do. Everyone slow it down. We're gonna get up into here. Airbag vests are really good. I just haven't found anything that I truly like. I mean, Helite looks really good. I just haven't bought one. All right, what are we gonna do here, MaxWristy? All right, so we can already tell the rider's doing okay. He's understanding the situation. He's picking up his bike. He understands that. Okay, that's a good sign. He's standing. He's got musculoskeletal stability. Okay, so when you have your bones, ligaments, and tendons, and your muscle tissue, it's very important that they are intact. Okay, if you snap one of those, they're not going to be able to work. So the fact that he's able to stand up and push and put pressure and this and this and this, he's able to do it. Anybody here tear their ACL or have dislocation or anything like that, all of a sudden that body part is extremely heavy. It's difficult to move, no stability, feels like things are falling apart. That's what we're worried about when we have some of these injuries. The fact that he's able to move like that, if you've had those injuries, you can already know that's a good sign that he's able to move. So,
You brake too late? I heard a skid.
It was just skidding.
I heard a skid.
Yeah. No, we're good. Thank you. Yeah, now we're good. Thank you.
So you heard a skid.
All right.
MaxWrist heard a skid.
No,
We saw what happened.
I just started sliding. The brakes like kind of not locked up. You literally got them changed this morning. Yeah. Bro. Yeah. So
The brakes locked up. Okay, so remember when I said somebody taking accountability for things? Did his brakes just lock up? Let's take a quick look. So we're gonna pass him up. Get right in front of him. Brake checked him. Brake checked him.
Crap.
So how can we do better here? How can we do better when it comes to this situation? What we need to be focused on here is not riding with MaxWrist first and foremost. Secondly, ride your own ride. If somebody's gonna be passing you, let them pass you, let them be dumb. Don't be pushing your limits, because we pushed ourselves so far in our limits that if somebody, if one little thing came out in front of us, one little thing, one road surface hazard, one distraction, one person doing this, one person doing that, we're gonna crash. Okay, a crash is just a bunch of close call factors put together to a point where they just consider a crash. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And if a crash is 10 and you add 10 factors, or you have 9 factors, you just add one more, boom, you crashed. The goal is to not add factors. So speed is a huge factor. Good training is a way to mitigate that factor. And then making sure your bike is in good maintenance. They talked a little bit about it's a work in progress. Now it's going to be more of a work in progress. Okay, so that means maybe you just changed out his brakes, so now you didn't do a good job, or the brakes are brand new, they needed to be seated better. Whatever it is, we're adding a bunch of different factors. So let's go ahead and reduce that. The easiest thing that you can do that you have massive control over, because you can't control if your brakes are doing well in this turn, or if you had a nail halfway through the ride, you couldn't tell. One thing that you can do, one thing you can control is your speed. Just slow it down. Straight up, just slow it down. Make sure you're not going this fast. It's not something that you want to do. So the next thing that we can do is that if after a crash, what is it? What is it? Remember, being a smart rider is rescuing injured motorcycle riders with medical training. Now, we do have the rescue booklet, rescue card. We have the rescue packs. We have the rescue training, a full video series on how to use every single piece of the rescue pack on MTC, Motorcycle Training Concepts YouTube channel. Absolutely free. Check it out. Just type in YouTube Motorcycle Training Concepts and you will find a video series made by Prep Medic, a very skilled flight medic that did this specifically for MTC. All these factors of getting cut off and not having a good total stopping distance is very important. He barely was able to perceive it, and he reacted really quickly because he had no braking distance. Slammed the brakes and he crashed. There was no escape path. We couldn't do anything. Remember, we're trying to plan our ride, but it just seems like the whole mentality from the start wasn't trying to be a smart rider or ride safe. It wasn't like that. So if we just keep scaling back, it's called the fishbone. Okay, we're doing an after-action review here. So we start from the crash and we work all the way to the beginning of when we woke up that day. What was our mentality? That right there is what you need to ask yourself. What is your mentality when you're out going to this stuff right here? Is it to ride like an idiot? There's not much anybody could have done because it all started with the mentality.